Now from CBS4 My TV 33 studios, this is Focus on South Florida.
Good Sunday morning and welcome to Focus on South Florida. Here we examine the issues behind the pulse of our community and put them into perspective. I'm CBS4's Rudabeh Shahbazi. There's a unique South Florida-based art project underway, and fittingly it comes in the form of mermaids, which symbolize people's relationship with the water. Local artists are casting life-size mythical creatures out of real people, and they come with a purpose. Once the mermaids are complete, the artists plan to sink them, creating an underwater art installation for divers and an artificial reef so badly needed by sea life, while at the same time spreading a very important message. Joining me at the table today is Executive Director and Project Manager for 1000 Mermaids, Evan Snow, and also here is Sierra Raspberry, artist and co-founder of the 1000 Mermaids Artificial Reef Project. So nice to have you both.
Thank you for having us.
So it's such a unique project and it serves so many different purposes. So let's talk about how it got started and what the focus really is here.
Okay, so my husband and I, we're both artists, and our main art form for the last 4 years or so since we've been in South Florida has been to do body casting. So we've worked with all kinds of people and models, and we create sculptures from real people's bodies. So we actually got this private commission from a guy who owned a yacht, and went onto his boat, and he wanted to, have a sculpture made, and we decided, we should make a mermaid. It seems fitting, that you put a mermaid on a nice boat. So as we get going into the project and everything, we spend a lot of time and money and effort into creating this great sculpture for him. We go to deliver it, and from the time it was commissioned to delivery, he'd lost his boat and filed for bankruptcy, and some terrible things had happened to him. I think he was going to prison or something. Drama happens, with people in boats, and we said, well, what do we do with the mermaid? He says, oh, I don't care, throw it in the ocean, and kind of jokingly. And we went home and thought we just wasted a lot of time and money, and we were kind of upset about it. So moving on, I started to think, what if you could put mermaids in the ocean? It's not something I'm really familiar with. I'd never seen any mermaid sculptures in the water, and if we had put our one sculpture in the ocean, it really wouldn't do much. But if you could make like a sculpture garden, a really nice exhibit, me as an artist, that would be something really cool. You have your own public gallery available in the ocean. And I feel like that would set me apart as an artist, right? And then I started doing a lot of research into artificial reefs and the requirements it takes to be able to legally put something in the water. There's lots that goes to it. And there's a reason that there's, not just a bunch of random sculptures in the ocean. You have to follow strict guidelines that are provided by the Department of Environmental Protection.
It's a huge process.
It's huge. Yeah. You've got a lot of red tape you have to kind of cut through to be able to actually do something. So we book a meeting with the county, right? And we get there, and they kind of laugh us off. They said, "No, you're just an arts and crafts project. You're not going to go anywhere. We don't have any money for you. All the funding is allocated to different resources." And we said, "That's okay. We'll do it our way. We don't need your money necessarily at that point." And he said, "We'll figure out the money situation later on, but we want this to be our project." And so, slowly we start kind of figuring out, it's like, okay, how can we actually create, these sculptures? And so we met a guy named Chris O'Hare. And Chris O'Hare has over 30 years of experience in creating and deploying artificial reefs, modules. But he hasn't taken the artistic approach to it. We went and presented this idea to him. Our dream is to be able to make mermaids and to put them in the water, and people can dive down and swim around them, and it's this really inspirational thing. And he fell in love with it just as much as we did. And from then on, he has the facilities and the resources to be able to actually create these wonderful, huge 3,000-pound sculptures.
And so are there any actually in the water right now?
Not yet. So
we're going to make them all first and then dump them.
We're still working to raise awareness and funding. Obviously, putting 6-foot, 3,000-pound sculptures is not free, inexpensive, or cheap. So we recently filed for our 501c3 status. We're a pending nonprofit, but we've created a lot of very unique crowdsourcing and crowdfunding opportunities so somebody could have their legacy, their family's legacy, their company's legacy live forever under the sea floor as part of this revolutionary project.
Who are some of the people you've cast already?
So right now, a big supporter has been the Elbo Room. I don't know if you're familiar with the company in Fort Lauderdale Beach, but that family has kind of jumped out, and they're going to be one of our first sponsors. Pier 66 has been a huge component. We've actually got some of our reef modules on display at the Sales Marina at Pier 66, so if anybody wants to go check them out before they get in the ocean, you can always go there. But as far as the ones that are actually going to go in the water, we're just at the final steps. We're about to start dropping them very, very soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But who have you cast in terms of whose bodies?
So right now we're still in the process of doing all the bartenders from the Elbo Room.
Oh, really?
We did a nice little photo shoot with them. We actually got them posed out, in all their swimsuits and trying to figure out, how are we going to line this all up. Got some great designs in the way, but they're going to have their own little mini reef. Setup is like one of the first, starting points for this project.
And a lot of local influencers, a lot of local people in the community. We did body cast Ashley O from 104.3 The Shark as part of a program we did with Riptide. So we're really trying to help raise awareness, and thankfully it's been a very grassroots, very bootstrapped, very community-driven process, and we really appreciate the support from everybody that's been involved, from Pier 66 to our partner Chris O'Hare with Reef Cells. It's really been grown very organically, which is the way that we want to do it.
Yeah, it's such a unique South Florida project. And then, of course, there's the underwater art exhibit, but it also is serving a purpose for sea life, who
Correct.
are desperately in need of more reefs, right? You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, so we've taken our very innovative approach. Our reef builder, our partner Chris O'Hare of Reef Cells, is a true architect genius. So he's developed a lot of innovative solutions which we're patenting, most notably our core lock here. So one of the current methods of what they're doing to save the reefs is they're taking living coral, they're breaking off little pieces in the lab very safely with permits and scientists and researchers, and they're making super corals out of something called coral fragments. The current method only allows to redeploy so many at a time on a tank of air, but they're growing so many more coral fragments in the lab than there's literally air in tanks to deploy. So we've created an innovative solution on our artificial reef modules to embed a threaded receiver plug called a coral lock, so they can grow these corals in a lab, take them out on a tray, and instead of the current method that they're doing where they're nailing and using a zip tie and epoxy, which is the method that...
Lots of debris, lots of time, chemicals are involved. It's a kind of a messy process currently to be able to actually put these things on there.
We're able to screw them in instead of doing the nail, zip tie, and the epoxy method, which will allow us to deploy many more, much faster, with safer materials than ever before. And we're really hoping and feel very confident that this method could literally help us unlock the key to helping save the reefs.
That's fascinating, actually, to see, and I'm glad you demonstrated, because I had read about it, but I wasn't really sure how to visualize it. So you're basically here, you have a call to action too. You need a lot of help from the community, people who want to get involved, people who might even want their bodies cast and as an art exhibit underwater. So what is your call to action?
Any form. I mean, from anything from a like, a share, a follow on social media, purchasing a T-shirt off of our website. We have a fundraiser dinner coming up at Regina's Farm. Up until, yes, if you believe in the project and you have your name, your family's name, your company's name, your foundation's name, or some legacy that you like to live forever under the seafloor under this project, we do have opportunities that you can sponsor a reef, and we can make it in your likeness or in your company's logo or likeness as well. But we've also created a lot of new programs and initiatives where we're working with citizen scientists, so regular people that want to be involved and want to support the project. We've developed a phenomenal program with our education partners at the Urban Farming Institute, where they're working on like a coral reef ranger initiative where we're certifying, we're working with local divers to certify middle school and high school students in scuba diving so that they can help us go and outplant these coral fragments onto the reef, because like I said, there's literally more fragments growing in labs than there's air in tank to deploy. And
it's such a cool opportunity for students too, to learn how to dive and to discover what's under the water here in our own neighborhood. So a really, really interesting project, and we'll be following it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure to meet you.
Awesome.
Still to come on Focus, meet a medium to the stars who uses her powers to help law enforcement agencies, victims' families, and others solve mysteries. Her advice to all of us when we come back.